Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to give it a little bit of time here for people to join the webinar and access their audio, make sure everything's working all right. Seeing those numbers climb up. So we're going to get started. All right. Well, hello, my name is Tony Phelan. I'm a program manager for MBA programs at Forte, and I'm pleased to welcome you to our session today, which is titled Be Intentional, Be Authentic, Make Personal Branding Work for You. It will be recorded and available on our website following the presentation. Our featured speaker today is Taryn Hersch, career coach for graduate career services at Auburn University's Harbert School of Business. Before I turn the session over to Taryn, I'd like to share a little bit about Forte for those who may be engaging with us for the first time. Forte has been around for 20 years now. Our community of over 100,000 motivated and inspiring women is changing the balance of power in the workplace. We open doors for women to reimagine what they can achieve in business, from launching first jobs to advancing to the C-suite. Through business education, role models, professional networks, and leadership training, Forte shows women how to build the credibility, skills, network, and confidence to thrive as leaders and change the status quo. So I'd now like to introduce Nicole Stafford, Graduate Admissions Advisor at Auburn University's Harbert School of Business. She's going to share a little bit more about their program before introducing our featured speaker. Nicole, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. We are coming at you live from the plains of Auburn, and I'm Nicole Stafford, Admissions Advisor for the Executive Graduate Programs. If you are considering how to catapult your career at this point, it might be time for you to head back into the classroom for an Executive MBA. Our 21-month lockstep program is strategically designed with today's business professionals in mind. The blended format allows for in-depth campus residencies, combined with flexible distance learning and an innovative global experience. The Executive MBA's diverse alumni and students represent a myriad of prestigious companies such as Nestle, Geico, Amazon, the U.S. Navy and Army, Aflac, and Coca-Cola. Our cohorts graduate with excellent business acumen and a strong professional network. If you would like more information on the Executive MBA program at Auburn, please contact us at gradx@auburn.edu. We are here to help you achieve your possible. At this point, it is my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Taryn Hersch. Taryn is the career coach on the Graduate Career Services team here at the Harbert College of Business. She's been in this role for almost 2 years and has had the pleasure of working in the career services field in various capacities since 2017. Through her work, Taryn supports students from a variety of backgrounds and experience levels. She is passionate about collaborating with both current students and alumni throughout their career journey, helping them gain personal insights, the knowledge, skills, and abilities to achieve their career goals. We are excited to have her here today to speak with you about personal branding. Taryn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nicole. And good morning, everyone, or afternoon for some of you, and thank you for joining today. As mentioned, my name is Taryn Hersch, and I am happy to be here today to talk with you all about personal branding, a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. As a career coach, I talk about personal branding a lot with individuals who are at various stages in their career journeys. Personal branding is an area that I encourage everyone to utilize to help in their career. Whether you are a student just starting out and searching for your first career post-graduation, you are looking to pivot to a new career, or you are looking to move up to the next level at your current company. You want to be intentional and authentic. And when a person has an intentional and authentic personal brand, it can work for them. Now, let's get into personal branding. To frame our time together today, over the next 40 minutes or so, we'll be defining personal branding, discussing the value of personal branding, both professionally and personally. We will talk through approaches to personal branding, and we will wrap up our time with Q&A. Now, before we get into defining personal branding, I want to share a quote that resonates with me about the power of personal branding. Your brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. Let that sink in for a moment. Whether you are actively cultivating your personal brand or not, you have one, and it is truly what people say about you when you are not in the room. I don't know about you, but for me, this quote goes to show how crucial and valuable developing your own personal brand is. With that in mind, let's create common ground in language by defining personal branding. In the work that I do and the approach I take to personal branding, I define it as the authentic and intentional sharing of who you are and the impact you want to have. As for the who you are component, think about that as it relates to your values, beliefs, and strengths. And a good way to think about the impact you want to have, think about how you want to be seen and known by others. My hope is that by looking at personal branding through this lens of authenticity and intentionality, it helps change the stigma around the topic. I know many individuals say they don't like personal branding because it feels cheesy, like a sales pitch or like you're bragging. And I get it. I once thought the exact same thing. But I encourage anyone here today thinking that to put those initial thoughts aside and be open to the process we will be walking through today. Remember, our goal is authentic and intentional, not cheesy or sales pitchy. As we transition to the value of personal branding, I want to highlight the following statistics because they truly bring to light the reality of how personal branding has a direct impact on the search and hiring process. According to a study done to examine the impact of online reputation or brand on hiring, the following was found. As you can see, 85%. That's a high percentage of recruiters saying that a candidate's online brand influences their hiring decisions to some extent, with nearly 50% reporting that a strong online brand influences their decisions to a great extent. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't risk missing out on a career opportunity because I didn't invest effort into cultivating and sharing my personal brand. Taking these statistics into account, it shows how personal branding is important in the hiring process. Keep in mind our definition of personal branding, with the focus being on sharing who you are and the impact you want to have. If you aren't sharing your brand, how else will others know? So with that thought in mind, let's get into a few more ways in which your personal brand is valuable. Starting off with the value of personal branding on a professional level. As you look at advancing in your career, your personal brand can allow you to differentiate yourself from others and is helpful in ensuring others remember you. These two areas are crucial, whether you are looking for a role outside of your current organization, as you want to make an impact on people who don't know, or they are also good if you are looking to pursue a promotion, as you want to ensure that those who do know you already can see how you are different from other candidates. In addition to the value of personal branding on a professional level, it's important to note that on a personal front, it is valuable as well. The process of assessing, creating, or refining your personal brand allows you the space to reflect on who you are, your values, motivators, interests, and the impact you want to have, all of which allows you to develop a better sense of self. And I'm sure many of you have experienced times in your life when you felt like you had it all together and figured out. In those moments, I'm assuming you were feeling pretty confident, and that likely showed. Others could sense it. It is similar to how it can look when you know your personal brand and you're putting your authentic and best self out there. Who wouldn't want that? Ultimately, as previously discussed, you already have a personal brand. And if you don't take action to manage it, you're not maximizing your benefits of having an intentional and well-defined personal brand that can add value to your career search or promotion process. Now that we have defined personal branding and talked about how personal branding is valuable, let's dig into how to approach personal branding so you can start implementing it. When first beginning to think about your personal brand, it can seem overwhelming, which is why I like to break it down into 3 areas: create it, share it, and live it. We will walk through each of these areas, and my hope is that by the end of our time together, you will have the tools and resources to either begin creating or revising your own personal brand, start sharing it, and ultimately living it out. Our first area of focus will be on creating your personal brand. This is the most time-intensive area, but dedicating your time to it will allow the process of sharing it and living it out to be quite simple. Many of you may be wondering, how should I go about creating my personal brand? What is the best place to start? As I work with individuals on creating their personal brand, I have found the following 3-step approach to be a good way to make the process more manageable, and that is to reflect, research, and relate. Today, we will break down these 3 steps. Up first is reflect. When creating your personal brand, it's important to take the time to reflect. Remember back to our definition of personal branding, with the focus being on sharing who you are and the impact you want to have. With that in mind, a good place to start is to consider the who you are aspect of your brand, such as your values, motivators, and interests. Doing so allows you to bring to focus what matters to you, which adds authenticity to your personal brand. You could go about this by simply making a list, or if you are a more visual person, you could do a value sort assessment. When considering your values, motivators, and interests, look at them from a professional and personal standpoint. See what overlaps and what doesn't. Think about why either way is the case. Doing so can help you hone in on aspects to include in your brand that helps add depth and authenticity. Another area to reflect on is to think about challenges you have faced and how you have overcome them. This area of focus allows you to think about your strengths and skills that you could highlight within your personal brand. Reflecting on past experiences in general can provide insight into how you approach projects, what type of work you seek out, or even passion areas you were or are involved in, all of which are valuable to consider as you create your personal brand. Remember, you want to focus on what is uniquely you. An additional area to reflect on are the results from various personal assessments you've taken, such as MBTI, Clifton Strengths, Enneagram, and various others. If you haven't taken any personal assessments, I encourage you to do so. Please note that many of these assessments do have free online versions you can search for, so that can help cut out the cost barrier. And I know some people don't like personal assessments. They view them as generic, or they feel they lack validity. However you feel about them, I encourage everyone to try out an assessment and see the results as not a prescriptive result, or like it's putting you in a box or giving you a label, but as an opportunity to think about yourself in a new light. It can provide new language that you hadn't considered before, or even allow you to uncover strengths, values, or skills that you may not have thought about or realized you possess. While this is not an exhaustive list of what to reflect on, it is a starting point that many individuals I have worked with find useful to help them get started with the process of reflection. Now, moving forward in the process of creating your personal brand, up next is the research step. Don't worry, I won't ask you to write up your methodology or share future implications. However, you actually may find that helpful. In the research step, there are a few areas of focus. The first is to consider your fields of interest, or for those looking to move up or laterally in their current company, roles of interest. Once you have your list, that is when the real research begins. A good starting point is to look up role descriptions. Focus on the skills and abilities desired. Take a moment to consider your previous or current role and the types of skills you have strengthened. For individuals who are just starting out or those looking to pivot, it is normal to feel like you don't have the quote unquote right experience. While you may not have direct experience in an area, I encourage you to focus on your transferable skills. Taking what you learned about yourself in the reflection step and what you are seeing on role descriptions of interest will provide you with the opportunity to think through the related or transferable skills you already possess. Highlighting your transferable skills shows awareness of not only yourself, but also the role you are seeking. Being able to know and articulate your transferable skills helps connect the dots for recruiters and hiring managers as to why you are the right fit for XYZ role. Another way to assess your skills and abilities is to conduct a 360 review, as it is a good way to get feedback from individuals above, below, and in line with you to get a sense of where you are now in the eyes of others, which can provide insights into where you want to be and areas for improvement. I want to acknowledge that so far, we have focused a lot on researching and being able to recognize what you do well. However, in the process of reflecting on your skills and abilities, you should also be looking at your weaknesses, or as I like to call them, areas of opportunity. Knowing your strengths is great, but knowing and actively working to mitigate your areas of opportunity helps you stand out even more, as you are likely going to be asked a question along the lines of, what is your greatest weakness? And you don't want to simply state a weakness. You want to be able to tell an interviewer how you are actively working to develop in that area, which can be good for anyone in the search process, but especially someone looking to pivot, as you acknowledge you may not be at 100% with a certain skill set, but you're also highlighting that you are strengthening it through specific actions. While researching fields and roles, it's important to learn more about what skills are expected of you. Another area to dig into in your research is figuring out who your audience is. Consider, in the process of searching or pursuing your promotion, there is great value in knowing who needs to know you. Doing your due diligence on who needs to know you allows you to put yourself in front of the right people. That could look like figuring out who the recruiter is for the role you're looking at, or connecting with individuals from the company to learn more and get your name out there. Considering your audience early on allows you to conduct better outreach and position yourself for the later stage of sharing your personal brand. While you may find additional areas to research in this process, a more focused starting point can help you get going in the right direction, which is why researching the fields you're interested in, skills desired, and considering who needs to know you are useful starting points if you work on creating your personal brand. Equipped with the reflective work and the research you've done, the next step in the process of creating your personal brand is the relate step. In the final step of creating your personal brand, the focus is relating. As the good old Merriam-Webster defines it, relating is to give an account of or to show or establish connection between, which is exactly what you will be doing in this step, as you want to combine your findings from the reflective work you have done and the research you conducted to begin crafting and putting together your personal brand. Now is the time to show the connection between who you are and the impact you want to have. And I understand it may seem overwhelming to think about how to connect the reflection and research you've done. So we're going to walk through how to get started. A fun way I like to get individuals focused on how to relate and articulate their personal brand is by starting small and creating a personal brand statement. You can reflect and research all day long, but ultimately you need to be able to make it known to others. And a way to do that is by creating a personal brand statement. You can think of your personal brand statement as the thesis to your personal brand story. This is the hook that you can keep in mind as you go about sharing and living out your personal brand. With that in mind, let's dive into personal brand statements. First and foremost, I think it's important to talk about the purpose of a personal brand statement. Not only is it a personal reminder of your purpose and impact, but a key role of a personal brand statement is that you want to make the listener want to hear and learn more about you, which goes back to why you can equate a personal brand statement as your thesis/hook to your personal brand story. With the purpose in mind, let's walk through steps of how to structure your personal brand statement as well. My biggest recommendation is you want to keep your personal brand statement short, ideally 1 to 2 sentences. Remember, this is just your hook. no need to be too worried with it. A concise personal brand statement also shows that you were intentional when creating it, as you were able to narrow down the core of who you are and the impact you want to have, all of which shows a sense of focus and determination. Which leads into the second point to keep in mind. You want your statement to be memorable for others and yourself, which is why keeping it short is key. By providing a quick intro into who you are, others are able to remember it and you better. I'm sure you all at some point have been in a conversation with someone that rambled on and talked about 10 different passions. And if I had to assume, it likely left you thinking, are they actually passionate about all of those things? Or you may just not remember everything they talked about, which is why keeping your personal brand statement short aids in it and you being memorable. A last element to consider as it relates to the structure is that you ultimately want your personal brand statement to highlight your value add and desired impact. Remember, the goal of your personal brand is to share who you are and the impact you want to have in an authentic and intentional way. With the purpose and structure of a personal brand statement in mind, let's walk through an example. Now, I think it's only fair that if I encourage individuals to create a personal brand statement, that I do as well. So the example we will talk through is my own personal brand statement, which is to support and empower individuals as they navigate their career journeys by utilizing a collaborative, reflective, and holistic approach. As you can see from my statement, it is short and concisely highlights the impact I want to have, which is to support and empower individuals as they navigate their career journeys. And also, it addresses the skills and values I bring to the table to accomplish said impact, which are by utilizing a collaborative, reflective, and holistic approach. While the statement doesn't go into detail on how I use collaboration, reflection, or a holistic approach, it helps whoever I share this with to get a sense of what I value and how I approach my work, thus providing the opportunity for them to ask more about what I do, which enables me to then share more of my story. Remember, your personal brand statement is the thesis to your personal brand story, and you want it to highlight what makes you, you. I think it's important to note that creating your personal brand statement is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to your personal brand. It is a nice way to get you thinking about who you are and the impact you want to have. From there, look back on the reflection and research work you did to help you expand beyond your statement. You may find it helpful to make a list of how you have utilized or gone about acting on what you mentioned in your personal brand statement, and how those skills and abilities connect to the role you're seeking to get into. I know it seems like a lot, but I assure you, you know yourself better than you think. And as you begin digging into your personal brand, you will be surprised at how quickly you're able to get to the heart of who you are and the impact you want to have. Now that we've covered all components of the creating your personal brand segment, reflect, research, and relate, now it is time to dive into talking about strategies on sharing your personal brand. With all of the work you put into creating your personal brand, it is crucial to have a strategy on sharing it with others. In this section, we will focus on virtual and in-person methods for sharing your personal brand. A common platform that many professionals utilize, especially when looking to expand their network or look for new opportunities, is LinkedIn, which makes it a great resource to help you get your personal brand out there for others to see. But more specifically, for those who need to know you, remember the value of that from the research step in creating your personal brand. Specifically, within LinkedIn, there are a few ways you can go about sharing your personal brand, both passively and actively. A few that we will go over are the headline, about section, and content creation. While it is crucial to have a complete profile, one area that can be a great tool for sharing your personal brand is your headline, which is the little section that appears below your name. While the character limit is small, the space is mighty, as when someone searches or sees your name, your headline pops up right along with it. You can think of your headline similar to your personal brand statement. It is the thesis to your LinkedIn profile. You want people to want to click on your profile to learn more about you. While your headline doesn't have to be your personal brand statement, it can if that's what you want. I recommend utilizing the space to highlight your skills, strengths, value add, passion, etc. All in all, you want your headline to help you stand out. What is commonly used in this space is someone's role title. And while that can be good, that shouldn't be the sole focus. And because of the character limit, your headline is valuable real estate and you want to use it wisely to effectively share your personal brand. Another great area to share your personal brand is within your about section. Unlike the headline, in your about section, you have more space to delve a little deeper and share more of your personal brand story. For example, you could highlight past experiences and how you've utilized your skills to succeed. This can include highlighting transferable skills for those looking to pivot into a new industry. You could also share why you are passionate about the work that you do or the industry you're in, looking to get into, which can be beneficial for individuals at all of the stages you've discussed, starting out, pivoting, or looking to move up. A final aspect of LinkedIn we will be discussing today to help you share your personal brand is that of content creation. When I say content creation, I imagine many people think it means they have to create or write an article, which it can be that should you want to. But for those wanting to become more active with LinkedIn and maybe you want to start smaller, content creation could look like reacting to or sharing an article post that you enjoyed, especially if it connects to your personal brand in the sense of what you value, are passionate about, or even what you want to learn more about. The next step would be to comment on a post or article and share your thoughts. Putting yourself out there in this way allows others to get a sense of who you are. So I always caution individuals to pause and think, does this reflect who I am and how I want others to view me before posting? Lastly, should you enjoy writing and want to create an article or post about a topic or area of interest to you, that is also a fantastic way to get yourself out there to help you engage with others and for them to get to know more about who you are. While the headline, about section, and content creation aren't an exhaustive list of how to share your personal brand on LinkedIn, they are a few great ways to get started. Another tool to share your personal brand is within your cover letter. And I know what many people may be thinking, I don't like writing cover letters, or what's the point of writing one before? Who reads them? Well, I may be biased, but cover letters are truly how you get to share your values, motivators, and interests. Of course, as they relate to the role that you are applying to, but it gives you the chance right away to share your personal brand with a potential employer. Through your cover letter, you want to be connecting your values and showing how they align with the company's values. By doing so, you are showing how you would fit in with the culture of a team and company. Fit is a consideration most teams take into account when they are looking to hire. On that note, you also want to be considering whether or not the values of a team and company align with your own. Because in the end, if you don't like the culture of a team or company, you won't want to stay there long, which is why it is key in the reflection process to really think about what you value personally and professionally. In your cover letter, you also want to be addressing your value add for the role or company you're applying to, which allows you to highlight your skills, abilities, and strengths. While it may seem like a tall order, if you've already done the hard work of creating your personal brand, writing a cover letter that highlights it is easier to accomplish. As it relates to the comment I hear frequently from individuals, who even reads them anymore? Well, hiring managers and recruiters do. I'm not going to lie and say that all of them do, but would you want to risk not attaching a cover letter when that could be a factor that sets you apart from other candidates? Think about it. By creating and submitting a cover letter with your application, you are showing that you are willing to go the extra mile. And for many hiring managers and recruiters, that is a positive quality for a candidate to possess. All right, I will hop off my soapbox now, but as a career coach, I just had to talk about the value of cover letters in sharing your personal brand, as they seem to be a method that many individuals are avoiding lately. So when given the opportunity, I want to share why they are useful and how to make them work for you. Up next is another tool for sharing your personal brand, and that is interviews. When you are extended the opportunity to interview for the role you've been wanting, it's the time to really amp up your personal branding. While the goal of the interview is to get the role offer, a key piece of getting that offer is standing out to the hiring manager and search committee. There are numerous ways to stand out that don't require any extra effort on your part, such as your years of experience in an area or field, your educational background, or even your connections within the company. While those are all important, they only get you so far. What can help you stand out amongst other applicants is your ability to clearly and confidently articulate your personal brand. And not just your personal brand, but also how it connects to the role and the company you are looking to be a part of. Which makes the tell me about yourself and the why are you interested in this role or company questions the opportune time to shine. Focusing first on the tell me about yourself question. While cliche, if I had to guess, it is the first interview question asked around 98% of the time. And with those odds, it's crucial to be prepared to answer it. While it is good to talk about your educational and work history in this response, you don't want to leave it at just that. Adding elements of your personal brand, such as your values, what motivates you, and how your skills and strengths will add value to the role you're going for, are all beneficial. I encourage individuals to talk about what they enjoyed about the previous work they did and briefly explain why they chose or are currently choosing to move to another role or why they are looking to pivot or move up. By addressing the change you are looking to make, it shows a growth orientation and allows you to highlight the skills and value add you will bring to the table for the role you're interviewing for. An additional component I encourage individuals to add is a little bit about your interests outside of work. This adds a personal element and can help you make connections with others, thus aiding in you being more memorable. Again, these are all elements of your personal brand that you would have taken the time to reflect on prior to this point. An additional question that really allows an individual to highlight their personal brand is the common, why are you interested in this role or company? It is typically combined with or follows the tell me about yourself question. And it gives one the space to share the why behind their pursuit of said role and company. Being able to articulate how your values and motivators for a role align with that of the company and team is crucial. It can truly help you stand out and allow hiring managers or a search committee to see you in the role they are looking to fill. As we have talked about, it's important to take an extra time to connect the dots between your previous experience and how it translates to the role you are looking to fill. This is especially true for individuals looking to pivot. So being direct and making those connections for a hiring manager or search committee can only help you stand out in the long run. Continuing on with methods of sharing your personal brand, up next is one of my favorite ways, and that is through networking. And I know many of you likely groaned at the mention of networking. I get that response frequently from the individuals I work with. Despite the common aversion to networking, it truly is one of the best ways to share your personal brand. If you remember back to the research step in the creation process, a part of that was figuring out who needs to know you. And what better way to share who you are to those that need to know you than face-to-face. And when I say face-to-face, that could be in person or via Zoom. I recognize our modes of communication have changed. And being able to connect virtually with individuals from different regions is truly a gift. Taking the time to meet someone from a company you are interested in can go a long way. So setting up informational meetings can help you get to know individuals at companies of interest, learn more about roles you are interested in, and ultimately help you expand your network. A reminder I like to share is that even if a new connection doesn't have any opportunities available right now, you never know what could become available down the road or who else they know, which is why I encourage those I work with to end an informational meeting with the question, are there any other individuals that would be good for me to connect with? This can help you then tap into your new connections network. Outside of setting up informational meetings with individuals, attending networking socials is another great avenue to sharing your personal brand. If you're uncertain where to find networking events, you could consider looking on company event pages. The community you live in may host such events, and even your alma mater. Many colleges and universities host alumni networking socials. And a great way to incorporate your personal brand into any networking setting is within what many call the elevator pitch. Similar to how you respond to the tell me about yourself question in an interview, you could use your elevator pitch to highlight your values, motivators, and interests. In your elevator pitch, you want to share your story. A good approach is to talk about your background, and I recommend utilizing your personal brand statement in this conversation, as many people want to get to know more about where you see yourself going, and what better way than your personal brand statement that highlights the impact you want to have. Up next for sharing your personal brand is through a personal website or blog. This mode of sharing your personal brand can be helpful for anyone, but especially for individuals in fields like marketing, public relations, event planning, or sports, as those fields tend to want candidates to share a portfolio of their work. Creating a virtual space to highlight your projects can be a great way to be able to easily share your work publicly, but also allows for an easy way to add your website link to an application that wants to see your portfolio. Besides emphasizing projects, you can use the space to share your perspective. Curating a website or blog can be a good way to show others what you are passionate about, the impact you want to have, and create dialogue with those who interact with your content. A final way of sharing your personal brand that we will be discussing today is through social platforms. We have already talked about LinkedIn, but there are numerous social platforms out there that individuals engage with on a daily basis. As we have talked a lot about sharing content through various modes, the focus of this section is to keep in mind that when sharing your personal brand, there is immense value in having consistency across the platforms you engage with. While that doesn't mean you have to post work content on Facebook or Instagram, it does mean that you should consider the type of content you choose to share, which leads to the final note I always make sure to share with individuals. No matter the platform, remember that everything you post, share, or like represents your brand. Most HR departments do conduct a social media search during the hiring process. And for those just starting out, I encourage you to go through your socials and make sure what you have on there is what you would want a future employer to see. I won't go too in-depth into this area, as I know we have all been told about being cautious and conscientious of what we share on social platforms. But to do my due diligence, I could not leave it out. All right. We have talked a lot about various ways to share your personal brand. Up next is the final area we will be talking about today, and that is living out your personal brand. You've taken the time to create your personal brand through reflection, research, relating, as well as sharing your personal brand with the world, all of which are necessary for this final stage of living out your personal brand. If you don't live out your personal brand in your day-to-day life through your actions, it's likely that no one will believe what you share and who your brand is. Most importantly, when living out your personal brand, you need to focus on authenticity. If your personal brand isn't authentic and meaningful to you, why would others feel any different? It all goes back to the definition of personal branding: the authentic and intentional sharing of who you are and the impact you want to have. Being authentic and intentional in not only how you share your personal brand is important, but actually living out what you say is important to you is crucial to the success of having your personal brand actually work for you. which leads into the biggest advice I have on living out your personal brand. Remember, your personal brand is not a persona. Pretending you value or like things won't get you anywhere, and others will see right through it. Bringing it back to where we started, at the end of the day, your personal brand is a representation of who you are and the impact you want to have. As such, living out your personal brand in an authentic and intentional way is crucial. If you don't walk the walk, people will feel your brand isn't genuine, and that defeats the purpose of personal branding. Living out your personal brand is putting into action everything we have already talked about. It is living out your values that you have identified through every interaction, putting yourself out there and sharing with others what you are interested in, what you want to be doing, the skills and qualities you bring to the table, and the impact you plan to or are currently making. When you have a personal brand that is authentic to you, living it out will feel natural. It won't feel like you are being cheesy or sales pitchy, but rather it will feel like you're simply sharing with the world what you care and are passionate about. Given that your personal brand is a representation of you, and it should be authentic and intentional, that also means it can change. I recommend reviewing your personal brand at least once a year. For some, it might be more frequently. What's important is finding the right rhythm for you. Reviewing your personal brand allows you to go back to the basics. Reflect on your personal brand. Does it still fit with what you value and the impact you want to have? If so, great. If not, take the time to assess where you are at and reframe your personal brand to best fit who you are. The processes we have talked through in our time today are cyclical in nature, and you should go back and check in with your brand, because when you do, the outcome can be your personal brand working for you as you navigate a career search, pivot, or getting to the next level in your career. In closing, thank you for spending the roughly 40 minutes or so with me as we talked through defining personal branding, discussing the value of personal branding, both professionally and personally, and talking through approaches to personal branding. Before I open up the floor to questions, I will leave you with a quote that embodies how I feel about personal branding. And I hope after our time together today, you all can relate to it as well. Don't be scared to present the real you to the world. Authenticity is at the heart of success. On that note, are there any questions?
Hi, Taryn. Thank you so much. We do have some questions, so we can jump into those. So, building off of kind of what you were just talking about as far as authenticity goes, this person says, how do you reconcile that authenticity piece with quote unquote executive presence? So they say, as a woman in the workplace, I sometimes find that biases around what defines executive presence force me to act in a way that's maybe not 100% authentic for me. So do you have any advice around that? How to make sure that your brand is authentic while still making you competitive in the workplace? And just would love to hear any thoughts that you have on that.
No, that's a fantastic question. And that's an area that can be really challenging to navigate because there are sometimes expectations set up in the workplace. But I would say the biggest thing to do is to really go back and think about your values. So yes, there may be these expectations of that executive presence of I need to look or be or act a certain way. But if you think back to your values, and if you're doing that value reflective work on yourself, you should also be doing that value reflective work on the company or team that you're a part of. So especially for those who are in that career search process or looking to pivot and you're actively trying to think and get out of a certain work environment where maybe you don't feel authentic, I think doing that research and looking at company values, talking with employers or employees that are at companies you're interested in, and really trying to get a sense of, okay, this is what the company states their values are and how things are, but is that actually lived out? And learning about that from individuals who are currently working there can especially help you live more authentically with who you are in that company or executive presence that may be quote unquote required or expected. That can help minimize that, especially for those looking to in that search process or trying to get into a new place. That can help it from the get-go. But in terms of those who are in a spot, they're not really looking to get out of their company, maybe it's sitting down and thinking, okay, how can I combine aspects of who I am, but also getting that executive presence in there, finding that happy medium or balance between the two. I mean, not everyone can fully live authentically, unfortunately, but trying to get as close as you can. Great question.
Thank you so much. So we have another one. This is interesting. So if you have kind of different audiences that you're playing to, different areas of your life, maybe, or even if you have more than one kind of occupation, do you recommend changing your brand based on your audience and who you're kind of speaking to at that moment?
I love this question because I think you tailor your brand. So, I mean, your personal brand is who you are. You want to be authentic to that. But I would say when it comes to tailoring it to different audiences and the different groups that you're speaking with, you can play up different aspects that really connect to the audience. So it's not like you're pretending or being fake with different groups, but it's more so, hey, I know this group really values this. It's a part of my personal brand and what I value. So I'm going to focus more on that in this context and really drawing that in. So really, it's not, you're tailoring your brand to your audience, but it's still your brand and who you are.
I like that way of thinking about it. Kind of like tailoring a resume to a job application. Kind of same.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's say you go through kind of all of the steps that you talked about, creating your brand, creating your elevator pitch. How do you determine whether or not it's kind of working for you, or determine, hey, is this working against me in some way, whether that's in your career search or however you're presenting that brand? How do you determine if it's effective or not?
See, and that is a tricky question because you don't necessarily know if it's working or not. I like to tell people you can tell if your personal brand is working or if it's working for you if you feel natural talking about it in that context of it feels comfortable to you. It goes back to that you don't want to feel cheesy or sales pitchy, but you want to feel like you're just genuinely sharing who you are and what you care about. So in that personal sense of it, that's how you know it's working for you, when you feel like you're just being genuine with it. In terms of is it working for me or against me in terms of other people? I mean, you will get the sense. It's just being aware of how are people reacting to my personal brand. You can see when you're in conversations with people, if people are leaning in, they're engaged, they want to know more. That's a good indicator that your personal brand is working and that it's connecting with people. If you're in a networking setting and you're seeing, okay, people are not really asking me a ton more questions, or they're just not engaging more in the conversation, it could very well could be the individual. Maybe that's networking just isn't their thing, but it could be an indicator of, oh, maybe that didn't come out the way I intended, or maybe I just need to tweak or think about, okay, well, how can I phrase this in a different way? So that's the beauty of networking events, is you can try out with a bunch of different people in a couple hours span to see, okay, when I talk about this way, others seem really engaged, or, oh, that didn't really land. How can I rework this? So your personal brand and elevator pitch are very flexible and adaptable. Again, staying at the heart of who you are, but modify it based on your audience.
Thank you for that. We have a couple of questions that I'm going to maybe combine because there's a little bit of a theme. So if you have maybe gone through some career changes, some career pivots that don't necessarily always, make sense together, and you want to show that you've got experience in all of these different areas and the way that they've kind of made you who you are, how do you do that? How do you blend multiple areas of experience or multiple parts of your life without feeling contradictory, and making it make sense?
No, I love this because this is an area that I talk with a lot about the students that I work with. because a lot of them are looking to pivot, or they have past experiences of, hey, I was in this industry, I liked it for a little bit, but then I switched to this one, now I want to go to this one. And that's normal. People nowadays don't necessarily stay in a linear career path. They jump around, and that's good. I would say focusing on your transferable skills, because every industry that you're in, going back and reflecting on, okay, what work did I do? Like, review your resume. Think about it that way. What are those bullets that you put for that role? Think about, okay, what strengths did I have from that? What projects did I work on? What were those skills that I was utilizing and strengthening through all of the various work or roles that I was in? And by focusing on that, if you're going into that application phase or interviewing and you're trying to frame it all together, is talking about, hey, I recognize that I have been in different places, but acknowledging I'm looking to get into this field because I'm really looking for this. And I know I can be successful in this area because here are the skills that I bring to the table. I strengthened my leadership skills through this role. I was able to focus on collaboration in this context that I can translate into this role easily. So it's really all about focusing on the skills and what you can bring from past experiences into a new one, and just being transparent of, hey, I know that this is a different area that I'm getting into, but look at what I can bring to the table and how I can use the skills. So it's really just about connecting those dots.
Thank you so much. Yeah, all of those transferable skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have time for one or two more questions. We have a question that is asking, so I think sometimes people tend to think of their social media as like, okay, LinkedIn is for my professional world, Instagram's for this, like people kind of separate it out by different things. Is it too much to be sharing your brand on multiple, platforms? How should you maybe tweak it or think of each platform differently? Any advice you have around that?
Yeah, I'm going to say it is truly personal preference what you want to share on which platforms. I mean, some people like to keep it separate of, hey, my Instagram and my Facebook, they're going to be personal. They're just for me. For some individuals, and it can just depend on the type of work you do. I mean, I think of entrepreneurs, they tend to need to utilize their social platforms to really get their brand out there. So individuals in more that type of work could be wanting to get Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is in there. I mean, I feel like we have all heard about the rise of the influencer culture and that type of area. And with that, you see these people going in and they're connecting, or their main platform is on TikTok, but they link to their Instagram to draw people over there, and they talk about other things or go more in depth. Or they link to Amazon storefronts. You're just seeing this expansion of, here's my platform, here's my brand. But ultimately, I mean, my recommendation is to really think about what is your purpose for sharing your brand. If LinkedIn is where you feel most comfortable sharing your professional brand, stay with LinkedIn. If the type of work that you're in, makes sense to put it on Instagram or Facebook, go for it. I know a lot of creative fields tend to like to put stuff on there because that's what people engage with. Or think of the sports industry. Twitter is a big platform that people utilize on there. But other professional fields, they don't use Twitter at all. So really going back to what is the purpose of sharing your brand on whatever platform, and just being intentional with how you choose to share your platform.
I love that. I love that idea that it kind of depends on who you are and what you're comfortable with, and being intentional behind it. Well, that is all the time we have for questions today from the audience, unfortunately. So I just want to give a big thank you to you again, Taryn, for sharing your insights. This was such an informative session and so easy to follow. I think lots of great takeaways for our audience. So we really appreciate you spending time with us today. And I want to thank our participants for attending today as well. We really hope you enjoyed the webinar, and we want to thank you in advance for completing the evaluation that will come your way afterwards. So we look forward to partnering with Auburn in the future we look forward to seeing our participants in future webinars as well. So yes, I hope everyone has a great day from here on out. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, everyone.